Hi, so today I thought I'd do like a favorite high-end foundations video. Um, yeah, I kind of looked through my foundation collection. I've been kind of compiling a lot of foundations, particularly this year. This year it seems to have been like the year of foundations. Last year was like blush. The year before that was eyeshadows. So yeah, I've been through a lot of foundations. I've used up a lot of foundations this year, and I think I've kind of figured out what works for me and what I like the best. So yeah, I figured I'd just kind of share the foundation love. So I guess I'll go in order of kind of from lightest to heaviest coverage. And these are kind of relatively recent purchases. Like a couple of these two of these I've gotten. One of them I just purchased yesterday, but I've been using a tester, and another one I just got a couple of weeks ago. But already I can tell that the texture and the color and just everything about them is just kind of perfect for me, and they're things that I know are they perform really well, and they're things that I see myself using for years to come. So without further ado, the first one that I really like is the Laura Mercier, what's this called? Mineral powder, and basically it's just like a mineral powder or a mineral powder foundation, kind of like Bare Minerals or something like that. So it's just kind of powder basically. And the great thing about this in particular is it's got, I know Bare Minerals have these now as well, but it's this little flap that you kind of put over the top. So if you're traveling or anything like that, or if you're keeping this in your bag, basically if it's not lying flat like that, the powder won't get everywhere and it won't be kind of chaos and, whatever. So I guess the reason I like this is because, first of all, it's summer at the moment, and in Ireland right now, it's it's so hot, and it's never hot, but it's a very damp climate. So when it gets hot, it's just really humid and it gets really sweaty and disgusting. So I'm not a big fan of the feel of liquid foundation or just makeup on my face anyway. So this is great for people like me because it's a powder, so it feels like a very thin layer on the skin. You kind of, you feel it, you can tell that there's something there, but it's not sticky, it's not wet, it's not tacky. Because I find no matter how sheer foundations are, if they are a liquid foundation or a cream foundation, I'm always going to be able to tell that they're there, and it just kind of makes your skin feel a little bit tacky or whatever. So I like the fact that it doesn't do that, and also, even though it is a powder, it's not matte because I'm firmly in the dewy foundation camp. So it gives, it's buildable coverage, it's a powder, so you can easily apply as little or as much as you want. I kind of apply just a sufficient amount. I'm not too sparing, but I'm not too liberal either. And I get kind of, like I'd say, a light medium coverage. But the great thing about this is it kind of gives you almost like an airbrushed finish. It gives great coverage. It sort of seems to perfect the skin. And although it gives you a very thin layer, it's obviously a very thin layer. It doesn't look thick or cakey. It looks very luminous. It really does a lot for your skin, and it just kind of makes you look prettier, I guess. And a lot of the time when I've been wearing this, people will comment like, "Oh, hey, your makeup looks really nice," or "Your face looks quite nice today." And that's not something that particularly Irish people make a habit of doing or saying. So, and you know yourself when you look in the mirror and you're like, "Oh, okay, I don't look half bad today, or my foundation is in pretty good nick today." So, I really enjoy this, and I am in the shade Soft Porcelain, which is the lightest shade. And there would be people who are paler than me, but I can't wear, I think there's one foundation from MAC that I can kind of get away with, but for the most part, I have a very difficult time finding colours that suit me because I'm so pale. So if you're very pale like me, this is a good option. And Laura Mercier in general, I've found actually do a pretty good range of fair shades across the board. Not in every single foundation they make, but in a lot. The next one I really, really, really like is the infamous NARS Sheer Glow. And I am in the lightest shade again, which is Siberia. First off, just, I suppose, a little note about the colour itself. It's very yellow. I don't know if you can tell, maybe from back here. It's very, very, very yellow. You can see that compared to my face and the rest of my skin. Although I kind of seem to be coming across as quite pinky and pale, like kind of really fair, pinky, kind of rosy skin, my skin is actually quite neutral, and on balance it probably has more yellow in it, so if I have a choice between like a yellow shade or a pink shade and they're kind of the same intensity, I'll generally go for the yellow because I just prefer the way it makes my face look, and I tend to get a bit of redness in my skin. So I don't mind if things are slightly too yellow. It's probably slightly too yellow, but I still think it looks quite nice on. The reason I like this is because it's medium coverage, but it gives it's kind of slightly on the heavier side of medium coverage, but it doesn't look heavy. It's not a thick layer on your skin, and I think that's why people like this so much. Things like Makeup Forever HD, this, even like Revlon Photo Ready, they're kind of very, the pigment in them is very dense, but the formulation is actually quite thin. So you get more coverage with this than say you would with Photo Ready, but it still looks very thin on the skin, and I find that I just have to put one layer of this on. I don't have to layer foundation up, which I don't do anyway, but I get quite a nice finish. And again, it kind of just gives you that nice airbrush look. And if you know what I'm talking about, like again, like Makeup Forever HD, Revlon Color Stay, and this, it's sort of like they've used some sort of new technology. It's like a new breed of foundation, and it just kind of makes you look very airbrushed. And I know that's, you know, people talk about, oh, it gives you an airbrush look, but it gives you a very specific look, just like Revlon Color Stay gives you a very specific look, which is, you know, quite like Estee Lauder Double Wear or maybe Studio Fix Fluid or something like that. It's a very kind of perfected, heavily made up look, whereas this doesn't give you that. It doesn't give you the same coverage as any of those foundations. Yeah, it's very nice. It's nicer than any of the alternatives that I've used. I have Revlon Photo Ready, but I do find that this lasts a lot longer. It like sort of ages gracefully, like it fades gracefully on your skin. It doesn't go patchy. And I really like it. I know a lot of people have complained about this colour in particular, that it sort of separates on the skin, but I haven't found that. Yeah, so I forgot to mention the brushes that I use. For Nourish Your Glow, I generally just use a flat foundation brush. I have a MAC 190 and I have two of these. It's the Louise Young LYO2 brush, so it's slightly bigger in every way to the 190, but it's just a flat foundation brush, and it's very good. I've had this brush for maybe 2 years, and I've washed it loads and I've used it loads, and I just really like this, and I like the finish it gives. So it's quite big as well, so you can just kind of squirt on a generous kind of pump of this and just kind of slap it across your face, and it just seems to work out well. You don't have to really use much care with either of these two. I just find that it tends to work out, and it doesn't, you don't end up with streaks or kind of crappy foundation. And then when I'm using the Laura Mercier mineral powder, I generally use one of two brushes. I started off using this one, which is the Real Techniques buffing brush, it's nice, it works, it's fine. But I find that I get more control with this one, which is I can never remember the name of this, the Expert Face Brush. I always want to call this the buffing brush because I find it's more like buffy. It's more dense, and you just get better coverage. So they're great, and they're not too expensive. I think that this is a better brush, and you can buy it separately. And I find that the brushes you buy separately from Real Techniques tend to be slightly more solid. Like, I just thought you have to buy, this comes in a kit, so you have to buy the whole kit. I used to think that they were all the same, but they're not. This one has like a base, so it stands up, and you can make this stand up, but it's not really designed to do that. So it's just kind of straight up and down, whereas this one kind of is a little bit curved. So, just a random note, I never knew that, so I figured I'd just let everybody out there know. And then the last foundation that I'm going to talk about is the Laura Mercier Silk Cream Foundation, and I've been using a tester, which I got at the counter, but it's pretty much gone. So I took the plunge yesterday, and I paid €48 for this tiny tube, which actually isn't that tiny. It's like a smaller, it looks the same as like the brain fart, as the tinted moisturizer, but it's just slightly smaller. You get, I think, 40ml, or is it 50ml, the tinted moisturizer, but you get 35ml, so you're getting 5ml more than you would with most foundations, but I haven't opened it yet. But yeah, I've used this a good bit. Like, I got a fair run out of the tester, and I really like it. Again, I'm in the palest shade, which is Soft Ivory. It's very I'd say it's probably like a nice neutral tone shade. You could swatch it, but my camera, because I'm using a MacBook, um, the quality is kind of shitty. So I'd say if you are interested in any of these foundations, I'd go check out like swatches online from people who use like reliable cameras. Um, but yeah, basically I got this as a replacement for my Studio Sculpt foundation, which was my kind of, I suppose, like evening time foundation. Like if I was going out during the evening, if I was going for dinner, to drinks, if you're going on a date, um, sort of like heavy coverage but soft focus at the same time, not really like giving your face a blank canvas, not blanking out every kind of imperfection or skin-like quality um, from your face. So not something I'd wear for like if I was going on a night out or if I was going to a club or a party or anything like that, but kind of, reliable coverage. It's going to cover up any redness, um, but it's also going to make your skin look skin-like. So I suppose the reason I really like this is because it does that. It gives you a nice kind of soft focus glow, but it gives very good coverage, and it's a thin layer. Like I know people talk about it being very thick, and some people talk about it being dry. So anyway, back to my what I was saying about the Laura Mercier. It's something you really do have to work into the skin, but something magical happens when you start. You put some on your brush and you start blending it out onto your face. It smooths into this very thin layer on the skin, but it sort of just doesn't go anywhere. It's not sticky, it's not too drying, it's not matte, it's not sticky. It gives a very nice luminous glow, but you can tell it's just going to stay on, like it's going to stay on your face. And it does. It stays on your face for hours and hours and hours until you take it off, and it doesn't disappear. It doesn't kind of, I don't know. It's just very good. I'd say if you had oily skin, it would be very good. But my skin tends to veer to the kind of dry side, and I didn't find that it looked drying or felt drying. I think as long as you kind of apply an appropriate moisturizer underneath it, I think you'll be fine. So yeah, I really, really, really like this, and I think most of these foundations have something in common. Like they don't feel too heavy on your skin. They're not really thick, cakey layers. And I think they just kind of do the job. They're all quite long lasting, and they perform really well. I think in a way, although you have the high street knockoff of this, or maybe it was supposed to be a knockoff of the HD, but it's sort of a similar texture in the photo ready. I think that really this is it's a far superior formula. But I really do think that they're far superior to anything I've tried on the high street. And in general, I find with most of my makeup that I tend to favour, aside from lip products where I actually prefer stuff I buy on the high street, I think for the most part, when you're looking at foundations, particularly if you're pale, I think you'll probably find a better colour selection if you're very pale, but B, that the texture and formula of most of the foundations of of a lot of the good ones on the kind of high end just perform better. And that's the thing. I mean, people talk about on YouTube, they're like, oh, you don't wear any kind of high street stuff or whatever. I think use whatever works best for you. And I'd say with foundation, I usually am a bit of a makeup snob when it comes to foundation. If I had to pick 3 foundations, those would be the 3 that I would pick. But I do like using other foundations. I really like Bourjois from the high street. I think they do quite decent formulations, but I just prefer they're kind of things like I'd wear kind of more on the weekend. If I had a very long day, I'd pick either of those 3 because they tend to just hold up very, very, very well. So yeah, that's my foundation ramble, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back soon with more videos hopefully. So bye, thanks for watching.